What can be done to reverse the problem is showing more, not necessarily positive, because there already is a lot of positive Muslim figures out there. It's just I think they need to have more a younger, to appeal to more our generation Muslims, kids that are our age and hearing their stories. Because I think if people hear their stories and hear what they go through, it'll be like, oh, I went through that too. You're not someone different than me.
Muslims are getting a bad deal, or people who are, Islam, have Islamic faith, they're getting a bad deal because the media is just projecting it out there that most of these people who subscribe to this religion actually are fanatics and terrorists and things of that nature. When actually, you know what? Don't let media educate you, educate yourself.
Fauzia mentioned in the previous segment that she opposes special IDs for Muslims here in America. I do too, Fauzia, but here's the difference. I'm willing to speak out against the fact that non-Muslims in Iran still have to go to different bathrooms than Muslims do. Okay, that's like segregation in America. How come we Muslims aren't pouring into the streets of our own countries to protest that kind of thing? African Americans have had their Million Man March. Women have had their Million Mother March. Where's the Million Muslim March?
I had 150 show up for my march.
It's a great start. It's a great start.
If I can, I absolutely agree. I think that there's one thing that definitely, if Muslims themselves could actually work on one thing, it's to unite and actually stand against injustice in general around America, around the world, around everything. One of the biggest things that I've always believed is that there's no such thing necessarily as just Muslim affairs. There's something called human affairs. There's things that are greater than just things that unite us upon religion. There's a concept in Islam called ummah, concept of unity, concept of moving forward together, this and that. That's very important. But the greater humanity, the fact that when segregation occurs, when apartheid occurred in South Africa, it should have been Muslims, or in part it was Muslims. It should have been Muslims who came out and said this is wrong. When the Jews were being killed in Europe, Muslims would come out and say it's wrong. Things like that, they would come out and say it's wrong. And in large regards, in large respects, the history of Islam shows great levels of tolerance as well as this current injustice that we're seeing. However, the biggest thing that we have to remember is the fact that it is mutual. It is a Muslim and non-Muslim issue.
I just want to echo what Sammy said. I think you summed it up really well, that I understand your concern that Muslims aren't united. When we do see injustices, there's scattered groups that respond to it. So I agree that there is no Million Muslim Man March, and there should be on several injustices. I totally agree.
Why isn't there? Why do you think there isn't?
I think there's sincere disunity because there's so many groups within Islam that again, we throw around the word radical Islam here like it's nothing, but again, that's a small group, and then there are several other groups within Islam. I see Kamal shaking your head.
No, I don't think the issue is disunity. I think it's two reasons here. On one hand, I guess the militants or Islamists or whatever you want to call them, they cleverly adopted popular Arab and Muslim issues as part of their platforms, most of the Muslim organizations around the world, and therefore it became very difficult, or Muslims find it difficult to oppose the horrific acts of particular Muslim groups, whether it's Al-Qaeda or Hamas, because they might support their cause. And I think when Muslims reach a point where they can say, hey, okay, the cause that you supposedly support, maybe that's a good cause, but we still think you're trash and you're a bad person, and we're going to stand up to you. We don't do that. Most Muslim organizations in this country, rather than, as Ms. Nanji said, rather than do that, we take the defensive approach, and we respond to anyone who recognizes the obvious, that we have a problem with extremism, as being anti-Muslim, and therefore everyone gets confused and everyone thinks, hey, why aren't Muslims responding? Whereas if we were to be the hawks, if we were to be the hawks against extremism, against Islamic terrorism, people wouldn't even call it Islamic terrorism anymore. People will automatically see those people as a minority, as a small group. We have to admit, as an American Muslim community and as a Muslim community worldwide, we had failed. We had failed in standing up on numerous issues, and we get an example and an opportunity almost on a daily basis to stand up, and we fail almost on a daily basis.
Irshad, do you agree?
I'll let Fauzia respond.
You know, it is. I feel like I have to defend the groups that are here in the United States that are, you know, speaking out against terrorism, speaking out this quote-unquote radical Islam that you are. Like I said, the concept is being thrown around. I think no one has particularly defined it. I myself don't know what the definition is, but there are organizations here that are speaking out against terrorism. I, for one, worked for a civil rights organization, and I mean, I don't understand if, you know, speaking out, maybe one particular person or a group of individuals need to stand out and proclaim that yes, we are against terrorism, yes, we are against injustices. There are groups here, and I feel like those groups are definitely not getting noticed.
Which organization you work for? Is it CARE?
I used to work for CARE New York. Yes.
Can I respond?
I'm-
That's a problem.
Why is that a problem?
wanna
Yeah,
get-
I want to know what the problem
All right,
is.
CARE, for example, yeah, it's a civil rights organization and so on. It took them about 10 years to condemn, for example, what Hamas does as wrong. Not because they support terrorism, and I don't think they necessarily support that, but they support the Palestinian cause. And because they supported the Palestinian cause, they found it difficult to come out against Hamas, for example. And that's the problem, as we look at the end and ignore the means. And some of these groups are using bad means, and they're hurting all of us.
Real quick, I know you guys are dying to say
little
something.
beyond that, just quickly, it goes a little beyond that. 5 people, at least from CARE, have been associated with terrorism. Let's not forget that.
Faisal, real quick, we have to take a break real quick. Wow, this is getting good. I like this. All right, we'll be back in a little bit.
All they do is criticize. All they do is put everyone down. All they do is say, well, you know what, Muslims are not doing enough, but they're not helping the cause by doing that.